Maybe you're a new golfer or just unsure, but right after this video, you're going to be sure how to hold a golf club right after this. Alright guys, welcome. If you're new to the channel, pause the video, click that little subscribe box, all done. If you're not new and you haven't checked that little bell, make sure you do that because we're trying to put out content, and if you don't know about it, who's going to see it, right? Okay, so how to hold a golf club, considerations for why this is important, especially for a beginner. If you want to talk about a couple things that are pretty important in golf, one is to be able to control where this little pointing device is called a club face. It's just a pointing device with loft, and where that guy points has a huge influence on where the ball is going to go. And the only direct connection you have with a golf club is right here and right here. Haven't seen very many people hold it under here, so getting that grip correct makes things a little bit easier. Point number two, when you hold it correctly, you may get some calluses over time because you're practicing a lot, but you won't get big blisters and you won't wear out holes in your glove and things like that. And that's not fun when you buy this nice, beautiful Italian leather glove, right, and maybe $27 or whatever they are now, and you practice for an hour and a half and there's a big hole in it. You're not going to be happy about that. So there's why the grip's important for all of us. Controlling the club face, making sure our hands stay nice and healthy. Okay, so a couple points we could go over that especially might help beginners. If we were to make this configuration, you see both my thumbs are the same distance off the floor. Okay, one's not like this or like that. That would be super amazing if we could grip a golf club that way. It would be, I think, the most comfortable way, but that would pretty much require some sort of grip. To get the thumbs level with each other, I think you would basically have to hold the golf club something like this, which is, I think, pretty bizarre. Haven't seen anybody do it yet. So when we get set up, because we're having to bend forward, we want this top hand to fit right underneath, or this top thumb, sorry, to fit right underneath the thumb pad of the bottom hand. So right hand for right-handers. You left-handers, you've had to struggle all this long having everything reversed, so you know what to do. So that's our first consideration. We can't, now there are some specialty shots where you might set up pretty level, but because we're trying to get this bottom hand lower, you're typically going to stand a little bit more this way with your shoulders or your spine, okay? Now let's talk about how to get the club actually in your hands. If we were to just set the golf club down here behind the ball, okay, if I just stand up tall like this, can't get to the club. So I've got to start leaning forward, right? And in my hand, I'm going to keep it what I call straight, so not this way or that way. So I'm going to swing this front hand over to the grip, okay? And I obviously had to bend over enough to do that, otherwise can't reach it. So I'm going to swing this lead hand over to the grip, and I'm going to position it in a way just like that. Now, why does it look that way? Because this is the way, me personally, this is the way I like my wrist to be. I don't feel good standing like this when I'm talking to someone, or like this. I just kind of let my hand hang, I think, normal. So I'm going to take that normalish hand, but just put my fingers together, make it kind of straight up and down, and swing that guy across until it runs into the back of the club. And when I do that properly, it's going to position itself right across this top joint of the pinky and pretty much across the second joint, let's call that second joint of the index finger. It's going to look something like that. And when I close my fingers completely like that, but when you get it positioned properly, this meaty part of your top hand is going to sit pretty much directly on top of the shaft, and that's going to keep that guy really stable, okay? So when you do that properly, You can wiggle this thing all up and down, not super fast, but pretty fast, and you'll feel like it's not going to slip. And you won't even have to really like have these massively developed forearms and have veins sticking out because you're trying to hold it tight. It just becomes a lock, a clamp, okay? So that's some pretty important reason why we get it on a diagonal across the hand. Occasionally you'll see some people with it across or 90 degrees to the hand. I personally don't agree with that, and vice versa. I wouldn't want it 0 degrees to my left arm unless you're playing a different kind of golf like Bryson DeChambeau, which is fine, but you just have to have clubs that are adjusted for that type of way to set up. So there's the top hand and the bottom hand, right? So the bottom hand, straight, just going to swing into the side of the shaft. And to get that thumb to properly seat itself, I will have to slightly bend to the side to get this shorter, right? Shorter, so it can fit now. Basically the same way. It's not going to be. Now we'll talk about this in different videos. Okay, some of you are going to have a comment about Hogan said, etc., and that's fine. But we're not talking about Mr. Hogan right now. More of a diagonal for normal people who are not Mr. Hogan. Let's just leave it at that for now, okay? How you position it, strong, neutral, weak, let's save that for a different debate because everybody's different. Everybody's trying to achieve different ball flights or reduce different ball flights. So you can't really say absolutely for sure across the whole universe of golfers how many knuckles you should exactly see on every shot all the time for the rest of your life. But I will say this, if you bring a flat hand and wrap it around a round object that's an appropriate diameter like a golf club grip, you're probably going to see this is going to be a little bit bent in a natural configuration. So if you ask me how many knuckles do you see in the back of your left hand, I'd say 2. But again, that's just a style, it's just a way to get started, and that's what we're talking about. We can get in all those debates later on what you want to talk about. So we got strong, weak, and neutral. We're going to save that for later. And last point, don't really care if you interlock, overlap, 10 finger, doesn't matter. Been Hall of Famers who've done all 3. It's just a matter of comfort, which one you think's best for you. Last point I'd like to make. If you think about it really, it requires no talent whatsoever. No talent to grip a golf club really well. You could think about your favorite superstar, right? Man, woman, Lydia Ko, Tiger Woods, whoever it is. And just with a little effort, just with a little attention, you should be able to grip the golf club just as well as they do. And you don't have to go to the range and go spend hours and hours and hours. All you have to do is instead of watching something on TV that you really don't want to watch, you go grab a golf club, sit on the sofa, study a little bit how you're supposed to put the club across your hands, figure out which type of style feels best for you. And then as you practice that while you're kind of watching the commercials or whatever, you'll get the feel of it and it becomes a habit. And then we've got a good grip for the, well, not the rest of our life, because we may want to change it from shot to shot different ways, slightly. But we'll have a good grip, right? And that's what it's about, class. So appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, put them down, okay? If you have any comments that are nice, write them down. And, you know, nobody wants to beg. But give it a like if you want to. Because, why? Because we're all golfers. We all have the same struggle, even people who are pretty good. Nobody gets it perfect all the time. So we're all kind of a family, right? And we're all pretty awesome because golfers get things done, right? We actually make the world go around. So we got to support each other, keep each other's, you know, watch each other's back, keep each other up, help each other, and that's what we're trying to do. Okay? Thanks for watching.